Hello. So today I'm going to reveal a very dark, it could be for a lot of people, I guess, an embarrassing secret about my family. And my life has been riddled with secrets, which I think is why I live my life on a blog and YouTube. My entire childhood was I had to keep a lot of secrets for the adults around me, and it was it felt sinister. It felt wrong. They brought me up in a stern Catholic way. My grandmother was like militant Catholic. So the whole Catholic religion is about the importance of confession and the importance of getting things off your chest, the importance of living honestly and not lying. So they drilled it into me, and at the same time, juxtaposed with that teaching was this lifestyle that was all secrets. And now I make a point of living out in the light and exposing everything because I hate that feeling. And I vowed that as an adult, I would never have to have that feeling, that I would never have to lie, and I would never have to live a secret ever again. And now I live a very transparent life, and I'm lucky that I've married to somebody who feels the same way. He is one of those that whatever happens, happens, and everybody should know about it because we all learn from each other. And if we don't share what we're learning, then none of us are going to move forward. Or we're all bound to make these mistakes, each of us, instead of learning from each other and sparing each other a lot of anguish. So we both live very, very openly. So today, in that spirit, I'm going to reveal a dark family secret. My grandfather, my mother's dad, was a hoarder. And I'm talking like they could have done a TV show about him, hoarder. And it's definitely, I think, hereditary because my mom and I both, I'm not going to say we suffer it because it's something that we're very aware of and it was discussed often in the family. So it's not something that we struggle with because we've learned how to cope very well with it. We're smart about it. But I do want to share about it because I know hoarding is a problem with a lot of people and it's embarrassing. And our hoarding is actually pretty funny. So I think this might be therapeutic for anybody who knows somebody or whatever that struggles this. So my grandpa, and you saw some pictures of him on the intro and me and him, he was a hoarder. And my grandmother, his wife, so my mom's mom, is like the opposite. She was like a minimalist, if anything. And so from the first floor to the second floor, the house was completely spotless because my grandmother is like seriously OCD, could probably use medication with the neat freak shit. And my grandfather had dominion of the basement. And by the time he died, like, you walk in the door of the basement, it was a walkout, and you had like a walking path that got you to the stove and sink and stuff that my nonna used. But the rest of the basement was floor to ceiling stuff. And my grandfather came out of the Second World War, and he was in a concentration camp, a German war camp in Greece or something. I don't know. So anyway, he was in some war camp. He was a prisoner of war, and he had a really bad situation during World War II, and it was one of those things we were never allowed to discuss. But I guess he came out of it a little bit fucked up, and I think he dealt with it with hoarding. And he was so hungry and so poor for so long during the war that now he saved everything. And when I mean everything, everything. And it was always, this is what he would say, because you never know when you might need it. So, like, I'll never forget, I was about 8 years old, and he made me run out into traffic. I mean, it wasn't a huge road. It was, a 2-lane road, but I mean, hello. It's in Toronto, downtown Toronto. And he made me run out into traffic in between cars when there was a break in vehicles to grab, I swear it was less than half a pencil, but you never know when you might need it. So he was that, like, psycho with it. And when he died, like a week after the funeral, my nonna had a huge bin come and literally cleared the entire basement out herself, which I imagine was really therapeutic. I don't even think she tried to sell anything. She literally just dumped it all. It was like, fuck, get it out. And yeah, she even like re-drywalled the whole basement by herself. Like that was her her coping with that. But and then left the basement almost empty after that. So it's an issue. So my mom, now listen how fucked up it gets passed on. So now my mother is the product of a neat freak and a hoarder. So my mom was both for a long time. So it was like she was so afraid of becoming her dad, I guess, that, and she's like, you never know when you might need it. So she's one of those too, where she kept a lot of things, but to compensate for keeping all this stuff, she kept the house spotless and ridiculous. Like I remember when I was a kid, if I didn't put the towel on the thing exactly how she liked it to dry, like it had to be straight or stretched out or whatever the fuck it was, she would go ballistic. And and so she went the opposite, where she was more like her mom, but it wasn't because she was really like her mother. It was because she was more like her dad, and she wished she was like her mom, I guess, in that way. I don't know, but so she had this big trip going on. So now she's figured it out. So now my mom keeps the house neat, but isn't all anal like she used to. Like she's gone past all that stuff. But she limits what she hoards to yarn. So she's only allowed to hoard the one thing, and that's yarn. And she does charity crochet, so it's easy to rationalize or that one issue. So she hoards yarn and she organizes her hoard. So when you look at it, like you walk into her craft room and it doesn't seem like a hoard. But, you know, like if you open one of her yarn containers, I swear to God, I bet you it's like packed in there like vacuum sealed. So you think if you're going to open it, you're going to be buried in yarn. So, but it's organized and it doesn't get in the way, and you know, and she crochets so much and donates it all. So because she's donating all this stuff, it gets cleared out eventually, and then she can replace it with more yarn. So my mom's figured it out. My mother also noticed that I had the hoarding tendency when I was little. Very, very little. You could walk in my room and easily walk on 3 inches of stuff, and I had a big room. And I would have the whole, with me it's floor space. I have to see my floor covered in stuff. I can't handle a bare floor for some reason. Not that I can't handle it. When it's clean, I love it. Somebody goes in and cleans it for me, I'm a happy girl. But within like weeks, it'll be cluttered again. Even if you put what I need to put the laundry where it is, there's like this weird comfort in having lots of stuff, especially by the bed. Now, I was very afraid as a child. My child was frightening, and we always lived under threat that somebody could come in the house or stuff like that. It was that kind of a fear. And I think psychologically for me, I felt like there was stuff that people could trip on. Having that hoard on the floor was, you know, I would hear them or they would fall, or it would, I don't know, something, a security thing. And I noticed that I only do it now when I'm depressed. And not depressed as in my boyfriend broke up with me depressed, but depressed about insecurity. So if I'm worried about money or I don't feel safe or whatever, that's when I start to hoard. And again, I, like my mother, I found a smart way to do it. So I hoard laundry, which means the clothes don't end up in the drawer, whether they're clean or they're not. They end up literally on the floor, and it's usually laundry that piles up over a long time. So, or paper. I have a thing about hoarding lots of little piles of paper, but not important papers. Those get put away in a drawer. I'm talking wrappers. I'm looking around the room right now just to give you an idea of what I see just from sitting here. I see an old pay stub I don't need. I see tags from a top that I just bought. An old postcard that is nothing. Cards that I don't really use very often. You know, another wrapper of chocolate Kleenex, paper towels, but ripped, like used. Just all sorts of shit. Paper. And the reason I like that is because in 5 minutes, I can clear all that out. So that's my cycle, is I get it to the point that I can't stand it, and then I grab one big garbage bag and throw everything in a garbage bag. Or if it's laundry, I grab a laundry bag and toss everything in a laundry bag. And it's clean in a minute. So if anybody is struggling with hoarding, that's my tip. Is what you do is you find one thing that you give yourself and you do it smart. So the one thing and something that's easy to get rid of. So it's not such a big deal. And that's my tip.